Get NFL Sunday Ticket at its lowest price ever and watch every game every Sunday. Take your NFL experience to even greater heights with NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, which gives you Red Zone, bringing you the final yards from around the league along with minute-to-minute NFL fantasy updates. Call us at 601-8992 to sign up today.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12. Coming up tonight in news, the Constitutional Commission chairman says no way to a referendum in November. Another sick day for court reporters, what their boss is saying tonight. NBA champs turn up the heat at the Atlantis Resort.
To be welcomed like that with open arms to their island, I thought it was pretty cool, man.
The new F&M senator named. Plus, could a U.S. government shutdown affect operations at NASA's U.S. Embassy? We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Juanita Tude, and NB12 starts now. NB12 has changed its set design and computer graphics tonight. We're thinking pink in observance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, topping news tonight. 3 weeks after Prime Minister Perry Christie asserted that a constitutional referendum would be held next month, Chairman of the Constitutional Commission, Sean McQueenie, says there is no way that should happen. McQueenie told NB12 while a referendum in November is theoretically possible, it would be an absurd rush job. He's not the only commission member weighing in tonight.
I do believe that the chairman of the Constitutional Commission has indicated that a referendum this year is not a possibility.
Carl Bethel, who is a member of the Constitutional Commission, says he agrees with McQueenie that government should not attempt to hold a constitutional referendum in November. McQueenie declined an on-camera interview, but told NB12 today that he expects Prime Minister Christie to announce in Parliament as early as Wednesday that the referendum would be postponed. He explained that parliamentarians must first vote before a poll can be held. Bethel echoed those sentiments, insisting the last thing the Bahamas needs is another failed referendum.
I would remind you that this was first stated and stated firmly by the leader of the Free National Movement, that we've already had a rushed and botched referendum, and we don't want to go down that road again.
Christie first said a referendum would be held in June before changing it to November. On September 8th, he insisted a constitutional referendum would still be held next month, adding it would likely address issues of gender discrimination. However, there's been no mention of ballot questions, a public education campaign, or even a possible postponement. Bethel, who plans to step down from the commission before being sworn in as the new F&M senator, says he believes there's a reason for that.
There's been a sense that the government didn't want to make a statement. They wanted the Constitutional Commission to really make the statement, and I think that the chairman has now made it clear that there will not be any referendum this year.
Testimony in the Renee Sherman murder trial continued today, with a confession by one of the defendants being read in court this afternoon. According to that statement, Ginaldo Farrington confessed that he shot Sherman in the back of the head, but the defense argued that his statement was obtained through police brutality. Jasmine Bonby was in court and filed this report.
Taking the stand this morning were several police officers who interacted with Farrington the day he was arrested in 2012. Renee Sherman is accused of planning the death of her husband, Stephen. Also charged in the case are Cordero, Bethel, and Farrington. Prosecutors allege the trio hatched a plan to kill her husband. Mr. Sherman was shot in the back of the head by an armed assailant who accosted him outside his Yamacraw Shores home around 8 p.m. on February 17, 2012. Taking the stand this afternoon was the officer who took Farrington's statement, Sergeant 527 Basil Evans. Evans, who is attached to the homicide unit of the Central Detective Unit, testified he informed Farrington of his right to retain a lawyer before taking his statement. In that statement, he said Ginaldo confessed that he shot the man. In the statement, Farrington said his cousin Jermaine Timer Russell approached him days before the murder, informing him that, quote, this woman wanted her husband dead and she had a big insurance. He said his cousin then showed him a big yellow house in Yamacraw and supplied him with a 9mm gun. Farrington's statement also said he allegedly approached his cousin Cordero Bethel, asking him to drive him to the home on February 17th. It added that he allegedly exited the car with a towel covering a portion of his face when he saw the victim and a woman arrive home and approach them, telling them it was a robbery. The statement went on to say that Farrington said he allegedly walked the pair to the side of the home. Once there, the alleged victim threw $41 to the ground before he was shot to the back of the head. During cross-examination, defense attorney Murillo Decille questioned the officer who sat in on the interview, Corporal 2586 Jamal Evans. Decille questioned whether his client was asked if he wanted a lawyer present. Decille also suggested that ASP Fernanda and Officer Brown joined Officers Evans in the interview room, and his client was seated with his hands handcuffed behind him. The defense attorney also suggested that plastic bags and a newspaper were brought into the room. He further suggested Sergeant Evans poured ammonia into the plastic bag, shook it up, and let it out before placing it over Farrington's head several times and allegedly asking his client if he was ready to sign the statement. Decille then suggested Officer Brown took the bag and doubled it up with the second plastic bag and then put it over his client's head as Farrington gasped for air. Decille said through all that his client decided to sign. Corporal Evans denied the claim, saying they did not happen and only he and Sergeant Evans were in the room during the interrogation. Sherman is on bail. Her co-defendants remain on remand at Her Majesty's Prison. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
And proceedings at most courts were once again crippled today as the workers responsible for keeping an official record of those proceedings took another sick day. They're protesting delayed promotions, late salary payments, insufficient equipment, and changes to their department's operations. The owner of the consultancy firm, which contracts 33 stenographers to the court, says she hasn't been paid on time by government in the last 4 months. Ludel Theophilus told our news team that as a result, she had to go to the bank and made personal arrangements in order to pay her staff on time. 19 of the 33 contracted workers did not show up to the courts today. She adds that those stenographers have sent in 6 slips ranging from 2 to 5 days. Theophilus says she was in meetings with Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson yesterday. However, there was no indication when a check would be cleared to pay the court reporters. Theophilus also admitted that the sick-out is the worst she's ever seen. She defended her workers, though, adding that while stenographers are always blamed for late transcripts, people must remember they are human. 2 weeks after a woman was sent to jail for attacking an educator on Grand Bahama, another attack against a teacher is being investigated by police. This time on New Providence. Reports are that around 2 p.m. today, the parent of a special needs student went onto the campus of Anatole Rogers and allegedly pushed a teacher into the blackboard in a classroom after her son was transferred to a different school. Both the teacher and the parent made complaints at Carmichael Road Police Station today. You can read more about this story in tomorrow's Nassau Guardian. Police investigations continue. The Atlantis Imperial Ballroom was transformed into a basketball court as 2-time defending NBA champion the Miami Heat got down to work for its preseason training camp. Our cameras were there as the Big Three explained what they think of the Bahamas so far and if they'll be returning for training in the future. Christina McNeil has more in this report.
Things were heating up in the Atlantis Ballroom today during day 1 of the Miami Heat's 2-day preseason training camp. And from what the players say, they have a lot to look forward to. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and the Miami Heat arrived in Nassau last night for the team's second training camp outside the United States. They were met at Odyssey Airport by a Junkanoo rush out. According to the Big Three, the reception at the airport blew them away. But when the players hit the court today, they were all about business.
It was great to be welcomed like that with open arms to their island. I thought it was pretty cool, man, and you know, we're humbled by it. We don't love training camp. No one loves training camp, let's be honest, but, you know, we're here, so let's work. Once you get back into it, you know, you feel good. You're happy to get back with your guys, but, you know, it's not the greatest things.
This is great, you know, from the standpoint just coming out here for a few days, getting down here and getting back to the basics a little bit before we get back into, you know, that real world. Training camp is a different level of intensity, different level of focus. But, you know, you just come in, you work as hard as you can, you know, individually. It's a time where you got to, you know, fight through some fatigue.
It's not very far away from Miami, but to have another country show us appreciation like that, you know, it's very important to us to really, of course, grow the game, grow the Miami Heat brand, grow our own brand, but, you know, just really bring good basketball, you know, to different places and hopefully keep getting people into it.
And while the players are enjoying their stay here so far, they're not quite sure yet if they'll return.
Someday for training, I don't mind it. I don't mind at all.
Well, I mean, it's the first day. We have to see how it goes. You know, I know you'd always love to come here anytime, but, you know, we want to make sure that we take care of business. If we take care of business, absolutely, we'll love to come back.
I don't know, you know, we take it 1 year at a time. I don't want to look too far in the future. You start looking too far ahead, you're going to be on the outside looking in. Your career going to be over. So I'm going to stay in the moment, you know, this moment right here, being here. This is a different change for us in Miami. Since I've been with the organization, we only left one time to go somewhere else. So this is the second time that we've even left in my 11th season now. So it's a good thing to get away and kind of change the scenery.
Miami Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra says the week-long trip to the Bahamas for training camp is like a mental reward for the players before diving into the season.
We like the environment. We think it's an opportunity for us to spend a lot of time together this week. A lot of meals, a lot of bus rides. Do it in a place and environment that our guys can enjoy, at least the scenery, outside the gym, to and from. But we're here to work. They understand that. Our guys are very mature about this, and at the same time can understand it's a little bit of a mental reward.
Tomorrow, the Heat will host a group of about 200 students during one of its training sessions. The team is scheduled to depart on Friday. The Heat will open at the American Airlines Arena in Miami against the Atlanta Hawks next Monday night. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
The Heat didn't only bring a winning spirit to the Bahamas, but also several hundred room nights. Senior Vice President of Public Affairs at Atlantis, Ed Field, says the resort is working with the Ministry of Tourism to host the Miami Heat, and the payoff for the resort is priceless.
You know, you've got people who are media, lots of media who are here, who are going to not just be covering the team, but, you know, covering the Bahamas and the destination, Atlantis. So anything that is going to, and I'm sure the Ministry of Tourism agrees with this, anything that goes toward promoting the Bahamas and Atlantis, we're happy to be a part of. It's not really about the number that this event costs. It's about what does it do for the destination, okay? And when you put these types of things in place, the return on investment far outweighs what you spend.
Atlantis has already built the Battle for Atlantis brand, attracting thousands of college basketball fans. Field says this year the Thanksgiving weekend is essentially sold out, something the resort hasn't seen in years. He says the resort will continue to grow its reputation as a sports tourism destination.
I know that we have thoughts that we're running through our minds right now as a destination resort in terms of how we can expand our tourism base. And if that, and in many instances, of course, that means going after sports tourism.
Last week, Tourism Minister Obi Welshcombe said hosting high-profile athletes in the Bahamas provides the country with the perfect opportunity to regain momentum in the Florida and New York markets. Still to come, a familiar face returns to frontline politics.
To help our new leadership in reinvigorating the free national movement at every level and in every constituency.
And a little later, the latest on the Airport Gateway project. So stay with us.